Hey, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 2 of the Don't Follow Me Home podcast. As always, my name is CP.
I'm Justin.
I'm Amber.
I'm Corey.
And we have a special guest. Yeah, special guest today, right?
Right. Yeah, hey, my name's Rory. I'm the father of Rory Ramsey and Amber Salim.
Hi, Rory.
Awesome. Looking forward to the special guest today to definitely add some insight onto what we're talking about in today's episode, which is all about Ouija boards and the history of Ouija itself and how it all got started, not as widely known, but also known as a talking board and all the different names that it goes by. And then we'll actually end the episode with discussing the Palmer House, which is here in Minnesota, which is notoriously haunted. And we'll get right into it with Amber with the history.
All right. So first, because I don't think I realized any of this stuff when I started doing my research. So when you guys think of the Ouija board, like what type of history comes to mind for you guys?
Ghosts? I don't know.
Ghosts? Okay.
First thing that comes to mind for me is like witchcraft.
Oh, yeah, that's
Ooh,
probably
okay.
a good point.
There you go. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the spiritual world. Yeah.
The spiritual world?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like seances and stuff like that.
Yep.
5 gold stars.
What? 5 gold
Nothing.
stars? Yeah. Good job, guys. No, I ask because that's kind of where my mind went too. And one of the things I found was that the talking board, like CP said, is one of the things that we know the Ouija board by. But it's also known as a witch board and an oracle board and a channeling board. And over the years, so many different spiritual authors have written about all of these, supposed ancient spirit boards that come from different ancient times like ancient Greece, Rome, China. But while they write about it, we have no proof that our Ouija board that we know of comes from any of these things. So it's all kind of been rumors and media that have portrayed it being tied in with, say, like witchcraft and, ancient Greece and Roman stuff. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got a question.
Yeah.
So when did what am I trying to say? When did the newer version from where we all know about it, when did that come into prominence?
Well, Justin, if you
I think I know the answer to this
hadn't been to
question.
my house because of the COVID-19, I would have thought that you read my notes because
I know.
that's the next thing. So
okay.
what we know of as the Ouija board actually didn't even start here. I mean, it started a long time ago, but when we think ancient, it really
Started
isn't
on
that
Mars.
long ago. It started when the whole obsession in the United States with spiritualism began, which was actually the late 19th century. There were 2 sisters in New York called the Fox sisters, and they claimed in 1848 that they could talk to spirits by having the spirits answer their questions by rapping on the walls. So like knocking, like knock twice for yes, once for no, that type of thing. When people started to hear them talk about this around New York, it set off a whole sensation with an interest in using things like automatic writing. So that's when a supposed medium takes a pen and paper and they just write whatever the spirit wants them to write. Like they use their hand to just write out sentences. And table turning parties where people sit and have little turntables and take turns talking to spirits through automatic writing and stuff. So
yeah, I saw that. That's really interesting. That whole turntable thing.
I know
Because wouldn't like the whole table actually shift and like that's how it started? Yeah.
Yeah, it so like 1848, 1849 is when it just kind of exploded with that interest. And the reason this started is because in the 1800s, think about how young people died and how easily people died. So people were desperate to reach out to their loved ones that had died suddenly or really early. So that's kind of how it all got started. By 1886, it had reached Ohio, and there were rumors going around about talking boards being used. So what we think of as the planchette, the numbers, the letters, the yes or no questions. And someone got smart and was like, hey, let's get a group of investors involved and start a board of our own, right? So this guy's name was Charles Kennard, and he got a group of 5 extra investors together to start marketing this quote unquote new talking board. And that was in 1890. So
Parker Brothers?
I was just going to say, is that the Parker Brothers?
No, they come in the 1960s. So.
Oh, seriously? Wow.
Yeah, no, this Charles Kennard guy and 5 of his investor buddies started, they didn't even have a name for it at this point. 1890, he was just like, hey, we could make a lot of money off of people's interest in this. So he got his investors on board, and they obviously were like, we need a name in order to patent this. So one of the investors, Elijah Bond, his sister-in-law was a supposed medium. So they take their board that they haven't quite patented yet, right? And they all sit around it, and they ask the board, what should we call you? And,
Seriously?
supposedly, yes, I know, it's so intriguing.
That is interesting,
Yeah, so supposedly the board then spelled out Ouija, and they asked it, what does that mean? Like, because it is a weird looking name, and it spelled out good luck.
What was that?
Good luck.
Wow.
Spelled out good luck.
It's like Taken, Liam Neeson.
Yeah, right.
Good luck.
I mean, yeah, you can kind of take it a couple ways, like, oh, good luck, or good luck with this, right?
Luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So they bring their idea to a patent officer, and he was like, well, this is kind of bullshit, essentially. So in order for me to invest in this and give you guys the patent, I want a demonstration. I want to see that this thing actually works. And none of the investors know this guy's name. They don't know his real name. So he says, I want the board to spell my real name, and I want it to spell it correctly. And lo and behold, the board did just that, and he was so impressed that he gave them the patent. So on February 10th, 1891, Ouija board was officially patented and being sold in the state of New York to up-and-coming spiritualist people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating research.
Thank you. Yes. So by this point, 1910, 1920s, it was still very much, we just want to talk to the dead. There was no ill intent. It was, hey, we've been through a ton of wars at this point. More wars coming. 1920s, we all know Great Depression starts hitting. So people were desperate just to reach out to their loved ones. And it became so normal for this to be literally a household thing where people in the house would just sit around on a normal evening after dinner and play with the Ouija board, that an illustrator named Norman Rockwell created a cover for the Saturday Evening Post. And I can text you guys the picture because I pulled it up. OCP, I don't have your number, so Justin can text it to you.
Oh, sure.
So I'm I'm going to text it right now. It's just, it's kind of cool. Like, he just portrayed it as this normal family game night thing, which I think, and I don't want to speak for everyone on this, but what we think of it now isn't just let's get the kids and hang out around the Ouija board family night.
No, it's like, let's get the kids farther away from the Ouija board.
Right.
That's what I say.
Or not even have one in the house for that matter.
That's exactly right.
I will never taboo thing.
Never do it in my house.
I have.
And Justin, I'm sending it to you so you can send it to the Corys so that I can keep up here.
That's cool.
Yeah. So just up to the 1920s, it's just this everyday normal thing. By 1944, 50,000 of these were being sold in just one single New York store. So I know 50,000 today isn't a huge thing, but think about the 40s. 1944, World War II is going on. 50,000 games is a lot to sell during that time, especially for something like a talking board or a spirit board.
That is a ton of games. ton of games.
Yeah, you would
Like,
actually probably know pretty well because you've got a huge interest in games and stuff.
yeah, a lot of my background and a lot of my hobby revolves around the board game, board game industry and that sort of thing. And like, I mean, honestly, even nowadays, like with the whole modern movement and designer movement in board games, a print run of anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 games sold is considered a huge success. So,
Oh, wow.
10,
Okay.
10 times that is just incredible.
Yeah, that puts it into
Yeah.
a bigger perspective for me even. That's a lot.
Yep.
So then we fast forward to 1966, Dad, and this is when the Parker brothers take over. So
There
up
you
to
go.
this point, up to this point, Charles Kennard and his investors have been the big money makers. And in 1966, the Parker brothers take over. The following year, just 1 year after they take over, 2 million boards are being sold, which surpasses Monopoly sales.
Oh wow.
Sweet. So the Parker brothers, they didn't like create it because that's what a lot of
They
people
did
think,
not.
I think.
Yeah,
I actually
thought
thought that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
No,
they
they
took
just figured
over.
out. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say they took over long after it was patented and even thought of.
Yep.
They just figured out how to mass produce it and get it out into the public, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean to
because
sell.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Justin. Oh, I was just gonna say because to sell 2 million, kind of taking what CP said, 2 million. They must have been doing something right in 1967.
Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say that because when you have like a controversial exchange with people who don't necessarily believe in this stuff, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, it's being sold by Parker Brothers." That's like one
Mhm.
of their excuses that it's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how they could, get away with that. Being Parker Brothers is more towards, kid friendly, family friendly games, and then they're. Oh, I guess we're just kind of talking about that. How maybe people didn't really think of what it was back then as we think today.
Yep, no, that's exactly right because up through this point still, even up to 1967, it was still very much seen as family friendly. This is just how we talk to, dead Aunt Gladys up in heaven or wherever she might be.
Yeah. That's
And
funny.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was so normalized that even in the early 20s, there were frequent Ouija tales being put in U.S. newspapers. So things like in the 20s, people who were looking to solve crimes, they would start turning to the Ouija board for clues.
Oh,
Seriously.
weird.
Oh wow.
That is
Yeah,
weird. I did not know
1916,
that.
there was a woman named Pearl Curran. She was a poet, and she claimed that she dictated all of her poems from the Ouija board.
Wow.
And
Okay, question for you.
Oh yes.
So you're doing all this. You've done all this research. When was the first movie that was called Ouija? When was that? When did that come out? Do you have that?
That I don't know, but I would bet that it would be shortly after the 70s.
Yeah.
Because the 70s is when the Ouija board starts getting a bad name.
Because I remember that movie was like it really gave the Ouija board a really bad name. I remember that movie.
I would bet it would be the 70s.
Okay.
And I'll share that in just a minute. Because yeah, again, up until late 60s, it was still very, hey, this is cool. I mean, again, for example, there was a man in 1941, 23-year-old guy from Jersey who joined the army because he's like, oh, the Ouija board told me to. It said this was going to be a good idea, so he joined the army. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's the fact. So 1973, the blockbuster film The Exorcist was the first movie to use the Ouija board.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I did not know that.
1973. So that's interesting. Yeah, they used it to explain why the young girl became possessed.
Possessed, yep.
There you go.
I do
That's
not remember that.
funny that you pulled that up because that was actually like where I was going with that. I didn't know that was the first movie, but I know that's the one that turned it all.
Well, that's Wikipedia, and Wikipedia never lies.
Wikipedia
It's on
apparently
the
not in this it
internet.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that was the first movie to ever use it. That's pretty cool. But it makes sense because after 1973, religious groups started saying this is a tool of the devil. And that's when it really took its turn for, oh, you can't play the Ouija board because you're summoning demons. Or you must be into dark shit because you're playing the Ouija board.
I don't necessarily think they're wrong.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think nowadays.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit last episode, I think. At least in between, we did. How, yeah, even today, it's, oh my God, you played the Ouija board? How creepy are you? Right? Right.
Right.
Mhm.
So no longer will we be seeing illustrations of a happy wife and husband at the dinner plate table playing the Ouija board. It's become much darker because of its time in The Exorcist.
So how true do we think this all is?
Mm-hmm.
Do we think this is all, you know, a real thing, or
Well,
are we on Parker Brothers' side?
or, maybe maybe Parker Brothers side, but no, because like I was reading about it, and like people think that it's like something to do with your subconscious mind that's moving it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
but if that's the case, like I've played it when it's moved, and I've played it when it doesn't move. So wouldn't you think that it would move every time if that were the case?
I don't know. It's actually called the ideomotor response, or the ideomotor reflex, often abbreviated as IMR. It's a concept actually used in hypnosis, and basically they're stating, or these scientists are stating, that it is a psychological phenomenon where a subject makes motions unconsciously. So it's some sort of study that I don't want to get into all the details on it here, but that was actually one of the things that I had saved on my computer to kind of talk about. But they actually have done some science behind this, where they're stating that the subconscious mind can actually move things without you being aware of it,
Mm-hmm.
as is such in hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never been hypnotized. I've had a whatever you call those guys trying to do it to you, and it's never worked on me. But then again, I've never had a Ouija board move when I've used it either. So I don't
True.
I don't know how much that plays into it.
That's very interesting.
Well, since
yeah,
go ahead, Rory. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask CP. Since how many times have you played it personally?
Like without you.
Yeah, any times. Yeah, just a handful, right?
Yep, just a couple other times.
Has it ever worked for you?
Never while my hand was on it.
So I just want your thoughts on the subconscious mind thing.
I don't know. I guess I don't really play completely into it. Like I'm more on the side that where I'm kind of on the fence. Like I'm unknown. I'm very in the middle. Like I'm still, like in the first episode, I'm very like, I want to experience these things. I've always wanted to. I've always been interested in all this stuff, but it's just never really happened to me. And the reason why I just kind of put two and two together, like, hey, I've never been hypnotized before. Maybe this does have something to do with the Ouija board, or whatever else. But at the same time, I'm skeptical about that as well. Like, some people are more prone to being hypnotized than others, which I know I'm not. But then there's the other side of it too, where I've seen all this evidence and read and done all this research, to where it's like, how can some of this stuff be faked, and how can it not be true? So I am a firm believer in ghosts and like this whole paranormal stuff. I just have never really had a very solid experience myself.
Sweet. Let's get into some stories. I want to hear some stories. I do. I'm really curious now. I know I've been with you guys a lot when stuff has happened, but I know Rory has been around a lot longer, and he's been playing it a lot longer. So, Rory, do you have any stories? Well, yeah. No, he lived through the glory days.
Through the glory days.
We call that old as dirt.
Thanks, son.
There you go. Yep.
Oh no, I've got lots of stories about the Ouija board. I was one of those people.
Yup.
This is back when Corey and Amber were very young. We used to go over to Kurt and Connie's house, and Justin, you know who I'm talking about. And that Ouija board would come out all the time, and they always wanted me to be one of the people that was touching that little
Or a planchette
paddle that floated around the board, because for some reason, I didn't call it an oracle. That made it sound funky.
Yeah.
But it for some reason, it always worked for me. You know, it didn't matter who was on the other side of it. It always worked. And I swear to God, I was not pushing it. You just very lightly touched it with your fingers, you know. And it was very interesting. We had many times when we'd have during the course of an evening that we'd have 3 or 4 of us, different people playing it, and it would have 3 or 4 different people come onto that board and say who they were and where they were from and their year they were born. And
well, that plays into my skepticism
it was really
against
cool.
the scientists, because it's
a
like,
lot of fun.
if you are self-aware, you know how they say the subconscious mind can move it or whatever. But if you are aware and you're sitting there literally, you know, not fatigued, you know, you're fully self-aware of everything. Like,
Right.
The board answers some questions that you wouldn't even know the answer to as well. So I don't. Yeah, it's unexplainable for me.
Some of it was so unexplainable that there was times that I thought, what in the hell is happening here tonight? Because we talked to some kid that was 4 years old and died during the war in 1812 or some whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But he would be telling us.
Well, and you've always got more than one person on the planchette or the oracle or whatever anyway. So it's not like you guys could, like, you know, stage it, you know.
No. Oh, there was no staging. Absolutely not. It was all about 2 people. And half the time, like I said, I'd be the one that they wanted, and the other person would be like, yeah, this doesn't work. And sure enough, it would work. You know, so, and then they'd start to believe.
Did you ever have anybody that didn't really believe, and then it would start moving, that was like telling you that you pushed it and everything?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I'd have them ask questions that there's no way I would know.
Right.
And sure enough, it would answer their questions.
Yeah, and
so, yeah, it is a mystical thing.
And usually your fingers are so light on the thing that, like, they're like bouncing off of it.
And it's still moving.
That is true too. You never really actually rest your fingers on the piece. It's your fingers are always kind of wiggling, if that makes sense.
Just barely, lightly touching it, because it if you actually take that oracle, as Corey called it, and you push on it, you will make it go flip.
It flips, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
You have to very lightly touch it.
That's true too, and it moves so smoothly across the board too. So if your fingers are bouncing on and off, it's not like you would have that smooth of a motion.
Right.
No, it's almost like it's got like a motor in it. I remember one.
Unless you take the batteries out.
Yeah.
The Parker Brothers version.
Justin, I got to tell you, you are very correct, Justin, because there was times when people would ask a question and that thing would zoom from letter to letter to letter to letter, like it was seriously on a motor, and it would spell out that whole phrase sometimes, and it would go just boom, 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 boom from letter to letter to letter, and there's no explanation.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was playing with Nick once in our old band CP. We were playing in my. I'm just letting you know. So we were playing, and then I don't remember what we were talking about, but it was moving so fast that somebody that was with us took out the board, and it was still moving on the table.
Oh.
Now that's scary.
You never told me that.
Oh, really? Yeah, it was terrifying.
I see how close you and I are.
You can, okay.
I was actually just about to ask about that.
Yeah, well,
Like, has it ever done that to any of you guys before? But I guess Justin just answered it.
I have I know they say you're not supposed to put that piece on the board without actually using it, but I have actually done that before to try to see if it would move without my fingers on it. And I have never, even with myself, I have never gotten it to move.
By itself?
So for him to say that he has seen
Well,
it,
no,
it's very
no. Okay, I think you might have misrepresented what I was saying or misinterpreted. We had our fingers on it. Somebody pulled the board out, and our fingers were still on it.
Oh, it wasn't moving by itself then.
No.
Oh.
Still creepy though.
yeah. See, that was one of the rules. One of the rules we always had playing that game was, as soon as you're done, and both people said, "Okay, we're done," you grabbed it and you pulled it off of that board, because we did not want to see it move by itself. So we always pulled it off.
Oh, Justin, I get what you're saying. So it was moving on the table without the board.
Correct. Yeah, but our fingers were still on it.
So here's a weird story for you. I don't remember who I was playing with, but we've been playing for like hours, just talking and whatnot, and so we got bored, and so we took the board out from under it, and we put a ball in the middle, and we were having to hit the ball, and it was working.
Like Rocket League?
Yeah.
Before Rocket League?
Like, it was really weird. Like
Rocket League before Rocket League.
It was really weird. Like,
so you had a premonition.
Yeah. Like, it was actually really weird, the fact that, like, we were like, can you go hit that ball? And sure enough, like, it would go and hit the ball.
I remember one
really weird.
really freaky thing that happened to us when we were playing the Ouija board. We were playing at Rory's house, and when you lived off Fair Oak, because a lot of stuff happened there.
Yeah.
Because it was by the graveyard.
Oh God, yeah.
But we were playing, and then it was spelling out something, and then it told us to like go look. It literally told us, because Amber was living there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it told us like the shelf, the number of book, and then the page number, and it was a serial killer book.
Yeah.
And it
was I
told
not
us
there that night?
I don't know if you were. If you don't remember it.
Oh my God.
It was terrifying.
Do you remember who it went to?
You were there, Amber. Yeah.
Wait, is this the night that we were supposedly talking to Jack the Ripper?
That's probably what.
Yeah.
That's who
it was telling. Yeah.
I still have that book, America's Serial Killer.
That's the night that we made a pizza, and the pizza was right in front of the door, and Dad was drunk and walked in and stepped right into the pizza.
Oh yeah, dude,
and the pizza moved by itself.
Yep.
And the pizza moved.
That's right, because wasn't Kayla with us that night too, and she got really freaked out?
I don't remember. God, that was so long ago.
Yeah, it was when I first moved out here.
Yeah, I believe she was with us.
Yeah, it was right after you moved out here. Yeah, I remember that.
I was like 17, back in my glory days.
Prime. So nobody else lives in any haunted houses anymore, huh?
I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of.
We could play the Ouija board and find out.
I haven't had anything.
No, I played it in the Lizzie Borden house last October.
The what?
What happened there?
Lizzie Borden? Do you guys know that story?
I know the name. They made a movie about it, right?
Of course.
Oh dear. Yep. Okay, so that's for another time because we can do a whole episode on that.
Dear.
But it's a famous story, famous haunted house. It's now a bed and breakfast. And Devin and I stayed there because I try to stay at all the haunted places, right? And they like encourage you to play the Ouija board there. So they have a Parker Brothers version, and then they have one from like the 1920s, which is freaking awesome. But me and a couple of the other bed and breakfast guests went in the dining room with it because that's where the autopsies were done on the family back in the day. So super creepy, and they have it's just a creepy setup. And we were playing it, and we were asking, who's with us? Lizzie, are you here? We were calling out the names of the other family members, and it started moving, and we asked how many people were here, and it went to 3. And we asked like if Lizzie was here, it said no. We asked who was here, and it told us it was the 2 little kids who were murdered in the house next door. And people have heard children laughing in the attic and like little kid footsteps and stuff like running around in the attic upstairs. And it kept telling us that something wasn't letting them leave and that they were scared. And as we were talking, the girl I was playing with, she jumped back in her seat and she said something just touched my leg. And her mom was like, the left side of my body, which was closest to the girl I was playing with, is freezing. And then it sounded like, so they're like old kitchen chairs. It sounded like someone sat in the chair next to me, which was empty. It was, it was creepy.
Cool.
Lots of stuff in that house.
Okay. I'm just going to jump in and say that if anybody out there is listening, we do have an email account up now. It's don't follow me home pod@gmail.com. Tell us your Ouija stories and we'll pick the best one or whatever and say it on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
for
that.
sure.
Heck yeah.
Like that.
And also from our sponsors, Coors Light. Yeah. Go Coors Light.
Yep.
And Trojan and Ray-Ban.
And
And Mountain Dew.
And
Anoka,
Mountain Dew.
downtown Anoka.
And Anoka. Yep.
And Anoka.
Downtown Anoka.
Bitchin'.
Where the sun is always
That's
shining.
right.
And Ramsey's.
Okay. Ramsey will sponsor us.
Ramsey's.
Yeah, so I think
Oh.
You said Trojans. I said Ramsey's.
Oh, okay.
They've got their own brand of condom now, apparently.
Yeah, there you go.
Ribbed for your pleasure.
Yeah.
So-
Oh yeah.
I don't know about everyone else, but I think my biggest experiences with the Ouija board are things that happen while we're playing it. So not necessarily it's moving by itself without anyone touching it, or even when it makes the big, spellings and numbers and stuff, but like what I just said, like the person sitting next to me and the girl being touched, and like Justin, you talked last time about when the faucet turned on when we were playing, and it being like the page in the book and what book to look in. Like that's always been my biggest thing when playing the board, are the things that happen while playing it.
Okay, this might sound weird, but I'm gonna tell you some of my experience playing the Ouija board. There were times when I would sit down and we would, put our fingers on the oracle, and nothing would happen. And I'd be like, okay, just wait, give it a second, give it a couple minutes. Let's, and I would all of a sudden get this like tingly feeling through my body.
Mm-hmm.
And boom, it would start to move.
Yep.
And that's when I knew that the thing was going to work. Something was all of a sudden there. And it might sound crazy.
No.
But it's why people wanted me to play all the time, because I would always know when it was going to work. Now,
well, and Dad, I think...
Oh, that's because you're going to make it work. No, I never did that.
Well, and Dad, I think like Corey and I can relate to that because we both have similar, like I don't get the tinglies, but it feels like a pressure on my hands, and then like a cold feeling goes up my arms. And like Corey, you've talked about having a sense of like a presence right before something starts happening with the board.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like when it's the same feeling as if we're about to play or something. Like if something like just came into this room that I'm sitting in right now, like it's the same as right before the Ouija board starts working. I literally just feel like something's standing or sitting right in front of me.
Yes.
It's just like I can feel a presence, like just sitting there. And then next thing you know, it starts working, or whatever we're doing, stuff starts happening.
Well, that's cool because it's not the same for all of us.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of different.
That makes it happen, That because if it was the same for all of us, it'd be like, okay, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Have you guys, like, as a family, ever had like many other paranormal experiences, or has it mainly been the Ouija board, or can any of you guys? I know this is not the episode for it, but have any of you guys like seen any like physical apparitions or?
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
This is years. I'm talking when I was like 17, 18 years old. I was
When
moving
dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Hey, now be nice.
Yeah, in the 60s.
Yeah. We're talking back in the 70s. That's not okay. That is a long time ago.
Prohibition, baby.
I'm almost 60 years old, guys. So hey, let's face it. But there was one time moving into this house, and we were moving in. There was four guys and 2 girls moving into one house.
Oh yeah, Rory.
Jesus.
Hey, I didn't have one of the girls at that time because I was a player. Okay.
That's
Oh my god.
This is way before Audie and
okay.
what's her name?
All right, let's just move
Anyway.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, you talked about your mom, and it's let's move on.
Okay, so we were all moving into this house, right? And it was down in South Minneapolis, right off of Grand Avenue, like 34th or 35th. I can't even remember the exact address anymore. But we're moving into the house, and I'm carrying this big box, walking up to the front of the house, and I'm like, crap, there's nobody here to open the door, and the screen door just opened for me. Now, go ahead and try to explain it. I can't. And as I walked in the house, the screen door closed. I just kept on going. I didn't care. Well, back in those days, I was smoking a little weed and drinking a little bit of that. Well, okay, I was smoking a lot of weed. It was, but I can't explain it to this day. That door opened.
Did you like just walk in and say thank you?
I kind of did. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Okay. And I kept walking.
Cool.
The door just opened. To this day, I can't explain it. And in that same house, the people I lived with, we all experienced something in that house. It was not bad. I'm not going to say it was not bad. It was all good stuff, but things would move where we, you'd see the dishes in the sink. Holy crap. How did they get done all of a sudden? And none of us did the dishes. Let's face it.
I want a ghost like that.
Yeah, right.
It was kind of freaky. And I lived way up in the upper part of the house. And I heard noises up there all the time, but it was never bad.
Yep.
So didn't ever freak me out. It's all cool.
That's not paranormal. That just sounds like you're part of the X-Men.
Yeah, right.
That's like some superhero powers.
Oh, dude, I wish I had superhero powers, man.
Door open.
Hey,
Yeah,
Rory.
Right?
Rory.
Yes, sir.
Were you playing the Ouija board? I don't know who my mom was playing with, but she told me that I might have brought this up in the first episode. I don't remember, honestly. But she told me that the Ouija board said that I was going to be a child molester. Were you there?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
So we have a witness.
I was there. And I said, no effing way.
How old was I?
Oh, God, you were probably 7 or 8.
Jesus.
You were
Okay.
young. Yeah, Corey was just born.
Yeah, this was
probably
last
3,
week,
4.
you know?
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen your mom recently, so.
Well, unfortunately, it came true.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Oh, wait. It said nothing about animals. Okay, never mind.
Oh,
All you have to do is Google Justin's name.
Oh my god.
Just JK.
Easy information.
Just kidding, Justin.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Whatever.
It's okay.
Yeah, no,
Hey, I love animals too.
So I got a question for all of you. Do you?
Yes.
Because when we talk about the Ouija board, we say we're gonna play the Ouija board, and we always use the word play. Do you guys believe it to be a game?
That's an interesting question, Corey, because I never thought of it like that. I don't think we're playing it. I think we're just
Using it.
Experiencing.
Yeah, it's like a tool almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. Yep. It's just I always thought about it, but I've never really asked people that question because no matter what, we always say play.
That's
let's go
true.
play
Why
the Ouija
wouldn't we
board.
say,
let's do
like,
it.
are we going to talk? What else would you say? Do you want to talk to some ghosts?
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
I'll just like say use. Like let's go use the Ouija board
that's
tonight. I don't
much
know.
better than my example.
Well, that's true though. No, that would be a good one, but and then people give you a funny face and you just move on with your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
I think we all originally start to play the game, but then if it works for you, you're not playing it anymore.
No.
You know what I mean?
That is true. Like
That's true.
No, because
because a lot of
It's like
people
play Monopoly, you know.
and like I've heard younger kids like just want to literally go play the Ouija board because they want to be cool. They want to go play it because it's a game. They want to,
Right.
I've heard people say it like that too.
Here's the thing, though. With Monopoly, when the game's over, nothing really... I mean, I guess Monopoly ruins relationships, though, so maybe that's a bad example. But, like...
Yeah, that game's horrible.
And 4 hours of a
right?
night.
When you play a game,
Another Parker
typically,
Brothers game.
You stop playing and that's it. For most of us here, when we've played the Ouija board, experiences have continued either throughout the night or on and off during that same week of playing it or
Right.
using
or
it.
you
I guess.
dream about it later.
That's
Yep.
true.
It doesn't go away. Your
Hey,
subconscious
Amber.
remembers.
Yeah.
Didn't one time that you played the Ouija board, didn't one time it like shot at like a picture or something?
The picture disappeared, yeah. So we talked about this when we were trying to record the second episode originally, right? So
okay.
Yeah.
you're totally fine. So
Okay.
my friend Nicole and I were in high school and we were like 16 and it was her sister and I alone in her house because her parents, bless their souls, would leave us alone for weekends at a time. So we were playing it in Nicole's room and we had the windows shut and we had candles lit and trying to be all spooky and cliche. And one of my friends had...
Like me?
What?
Sorry, I have a whole bunch of candles lit right now.
Oh, good. Yes.
By myself?
It's okay. So
By myself.
we wanted to try and talk to a friend of mine who had killed herself the year before. And so we had her picture next to the board because we thought maybe that would help bring her through, or I don't know what we thought was going to happen, but we thought it would help somehow. And so we're trying to talk to her, and the planchette is moving, and it's answering our questions, and it wasn't answering anything to do with her. It was kind of avoiding the whole topic, and it was... I don't remember exactly what it was saying, but I know we freaked ourselves out to the point where we were like, okay, we need to stop. Like, let's go get some snacks and take a break, and we'll come back later. And again, it was just the three of us. Windows were closed, and the picture was right by the board when we left. We walk into the kitchen. We're out of her room for like 15 minutes. We come back in, and the picture's gone. She never found it. And I was just talking to her about this a couple weeks ago because I was like, oh my God, I haven't thought about that night in forever. So I texted her the night we were all talking about this. And she's like, yeah, I never found it. Like, they moved. She moved her room around a million times. She never found that picture. It just...
To this day, it's gone?
Yeah, it just disappeared within 15
Jeez.
minutes of us leaving that room. And I don't know what that means, but it freaked us out that we didn't play it for a long time.
That's
Yeah, that freaked me out.
I don't think I'd touch a
Justin
thing
just
ever
laughed.
again. No.
Yeah. I've said that I wasn't going to play it ever again quite a few times, yet here I am, right?
Yeah. You know, it's
Yeah.
like a group, a cult. I
Oh,
don't know.
God.
Okay, easy. But remember when we went to my studio, like my actual studio?
Yeah. Yep.
We had 2 rooms at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The one room, it was like all set up and like nothing happened. We were there for like an hour and a half.
Nothing.
Nothing
Yes, we
happened.
were. And
then
that,
we moved.
It was hot and steamy.
Yeah,
and
that's because I had my
disgusting
clothes
and-
off.
It's because I wasn't there.
Okay, that's
No.
too much information.
No, you you like it,
If
Rory.
you only had me
And
there.
then
so we switched
It was a small
rooms.
room, and I feel like we had a lot of people.
Yeah,
too.
there was
Didn't we have quite a few?
there was like 10 people in there. Yeah, and then we moved across the hall. It was
Yep.
like literally like a 12-foot move,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Longer than that, more like 15
oh,
feet.
okay.
Very precise.
But that room was like horrible, and then it was just moving like crazy. And Devin was there, and he was even like Googling everything that I was saying, and he's like, "Yeah, it's saying exactly what's
Truly.
happening."
That was the most random story in the world, too.
Like nothing that any of us knew about either. Like I had
No.
never heard of that fire, or that was weird.
The guys falling off the tower,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, wasn't it like it was like early 1900s, and it was in North Minneapolis where like they were building some
It was like a telephone tower.
a telephone tower.
And
I
it
know,
was
sorry.
it was only a couple miles from the studio space you guys rent.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what made it weird.
I don't think it was the early 19. It wasn't it like 1950s or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
they were building some radio tower, and literally it spelled out like the numbers of like what the division
Mm-hmm.
that they were in, and just like the radio tower
Mhm.
number, the amount of people who fell off and
Mhm.
died. I forget if it spelled off one of the guys'
Yeah.
names. It was
They
Yeah,
kept
it
trying to
did.
give initials, I think.
And then Devin was Googling it behind our back. He didn't even tell us that he was Googling it. And then he
No.
figured it out, and he's like, yeah, all right, that's true. And then the next day, like you said in the last episode, he's just like, nah, that didn't happen.
I know.
God.
It was
Yeah.
made up.
No, yeah, and it kept asking CP, it kept asking you and a couple other people to leave the room.
Yep. I don't know why. They don't like me.
Still,
think
They don't want me in the same
still a
room.
skeptic at heart, man.
That night is a good example.
I'm really not.
I know. But
Good example.
Oh, sorry. It's a good example of when we talk about like how my dad said like that tingly feeling, because the first room we were in, like it just felt empty. Like I didn't feel anything like out of the ordinary, abnormal, whatever you want to call it. Like, and then we moved into that other
No.
room, and it was a definite energy shift.
But it's kind of weird though, because does it have something to do with like the actual soundproof walls and stuff? Like,
Ooh, I
does
don't
it-
know.
I wonder if like it just blocks everything out, because the second room didn't have any of that.
That's an interesting theory. I have no idea, but maybe, right? Because it's blocking out a type of energy, sound, so.
Who's laughing?
It's sounds like Rory.
Oh, it is. He keeps showing me these stupid videos on his phone and stuff right now. Oh, look at that.
Sounds like giggling.
Corey,
Dude,
Corey.
I'm laughing so hard.
do you have any Ouija stories like that is creepy or cool, or somebody that you want to talk about that spoke to you or something?
Yeah, for sure. Did I not speak about this in the first one, or was this supposed to be in the second one? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But yeah, I have a really creepy story that it was me, Amber, and Gary. I don't remember if I told this in the first one or the second one.
Oh yeah, you did tell us in the first one. Pick another one. I'm sorry.
So for those of you who didn't listen to episode 1, go back and listen now.
Correct.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's not a plug. Oh wait, it is.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one where she got like possessed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was your scary story intro. What about?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Remember when the picture frame moved when you were playing the Ouija board at my old apartment?
Oh yeah, Corey, you recorded it on video.
Yeah. Yep.
I did record that one. Yeah, we were playing on the
Ouija board.
Well, yeah, thank you. We were playing on the table, and then there was a couch behind us and a desk behind us, and there was a picture on that desk. And as we were playing it, like, we didn't notice anything, but when we played back the video, a picture moved, I think twice, just very slightly, but you could see it move twice while playing the Ouija board. It was very I think I've caught I've had so much stuff happen. Back in college, we were playing the Ouija board, and we always had this girl. She was 9 years old. Her name was Emily, and she said she was addicted to me. Even it was really weird. No matter where I went for like almost like a year and played, she was on that board. Like it was really weird. And there was one time we were playing, and she said she was doing stuff in our closet, and next thing you know, you heard all of the empty coat hangers that didn't have clothes on them. They were all of a sudden just started moving and like falling off of the rack in there, and it was really weird. Yeah.
That's what you call it.
That's exactly right. So, so once again, if anybody out there has any stories about the Ouija, just email us at don'tfollowmehomepod@gmail.com, and we will respond to every single one, because who knows, we'll listen to this, but we would love to hear your stories, or if you think we're crazy, you can tell us that too. But as of right now, let's start to get into the Palmer House Hotel. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
It is called the Palmer House Hotel. And it was actually in Palmer, or the Palmer House Hotel, before it was actually called the Palmer House Hotel in Sauk Center, Minnesota. The original hotel burned down on June 26th, 1900. And so they actually built the Palmer House Hotel in 1901. And it from there on, it actually never says anything about why it was haunted. So if you guys can find that out, or if someone else that listens knows more, please email us. But that is all I really found out about maybe why it was haunted, is maybe because it burned down. I don't know. But it was the very first building in Sauk Center that actually had electricity. And because of that, it became a very popular social gathering spot. It was actually really crazy because it was built. It was originally built with 24 guest rooms and only one bathroom in the entire hallway.
Ugh.
Which is kind of weird.
Well, that's not unusual for those old houses. They had old hotels and stuff. They had a bath that everybody shared.
Yeah, it's just really weird because nowadays every single person has, it like as in now every single bathroom or every single bedroom has a bathroom, but it was originally built with one bathroom in the entire building, basically.
And Amber, you actually stayed there one time, right?
Yeah, Devin and I stayed there like 3 years ago. And they do all kinds of different like haunted tours, and I know probably not anymore. It was probably canceled because of the COVID-19 thing, but like they have like events that go on there for haunted stuff, and it's pretty cool. So they are all about sharing their haunted history. But I think, Corey, to your point, there isn't a whole lot of reason why it's haunted, but um, it's considered one of the most haunted hotels in Minnesota, and they suspect that there's demonic energy there.
I just wonder if
I know I've heard that.
Yeah, I just wonder if because the original one burned down, it didn't say if like people actually were in it or whatever, but they had built the new one on the exact same spot. So
Well, that would be a really good guess that the people died in the hotel.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Oh, for sure.
Why else would there be
For
spirits?
sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
And I know Amber's stayed there one time, but this is actually one of our first places that we want to go record on location at.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So
correct.
Yeah, Rory, you're coming too if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool to get like a couple rooms. They have there's a few floors, and there's a playroom on the second floor where we stayed for kids. And my friend Cherie was like, because she stayed there too for this reason. She's like, you should go in there and investigate, because she caught a picture of a little boy in that room. So I was like, fuck yeah, right? So I went and was investigating and snapping pictures. And Justin, I'm going to send this to you as well. You're going to want to turn the brightness on your phone all the way up.
Sounds good.
But I caught, and I circled what I caught. But I caught what looks like a face forming in front of the camera with white flashes behind it while I was in the playroom, and we didn't have lights on. I didn't use my flash.
And can I just stop and
just
say
really
that
creepy. Yes.
we are gonna have like a Facebook page up and running. So if you guys are wondering why you can't see this picture, we will post these pictures on as well and explain what she's talking about.
Absolutely. It'll be kind of like a picture preview for the episodes type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And then in our room that night, so we tried talking to spirits and everything too, and nothing was happening while we were talking. And we go to bed, and all of a sudden, like half an hour into trying to fall asleep, I heard footsteps walking around the bed, and Devin heard it, and then I heard it earlier that morning, like early morning, like 5-6 a.m. again. So definitely things happen there for sure. It would be a good spot.
Yeah. And once again, if you guys have anything else that maybe reasons why this place is known to be haunted, please email us, message us on Facebook, whatever you can, because we would like to know the more accurate history on why this place might be haunted.
Yeah, and I just received the picture that you sent me, Amber, and it's freaky. It's kind of like remember right after 9/11 when everybody saw the faces in the smoke? That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Yeah, no, because you can see like the eye indents in the nose.
Yeah, and we'll post that as soon as we get everything up and running. But
yeah, and I'd really like to check out these places like on location. I've got some nice camera gear, and it'd be a whole lot of fun to try to capture some stuff on video as well as doing the podcast live on location someplace. Because I don't know, it'd be kind of fun. Like everybody can experience it with us as we're experiencing things.
No, I think that's a good idea. Whenever we go and do this, I think we should always have a couple cameras on hand. because it would be really cool to actually be able to show us podcasting and what we're trying to do and the whole experience.
Yeah, and during these times, I mean, obviously something might not ever happen, but we'll still try to provide you with uh, good content and stuff like that. But we will try to actually live stream these so that nobody thinks that they're altered or anything like that.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
Well, and how cool would this
Yeah.
be? I mean, this is definitely something that not only being on location and like experiencing it in person, but like actually having an avenue for people to experience it with us live. That's something I've always wanted to do. And I mean, for them, it's in the safety of their own home. So, like the name of the episode, "Don't Follow Me Home." That's what I'm most worried about. So I don't know, for those people who don't want an attachment,
Yeah.
that's another avenue for them. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And like, because me and CP are terrified. We talked about that in the first episode. And if Rory would come with us, I'd feel a little more safe.
Hey, guys, I appreciate y'all having me on tonight, and I'd be glad to come with.
All right.
I'm not afraid of the spiritual.
Yes!
I'm not afraid of the spiritual world at all. So
That makes one of us.
So let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we're just at that a little over hour mark here. So any final thoughts, kind of wrapping things up here before we go?
Play the Ouija board.
If you play it, just be safe about it.
Of course.
Hey, I just want to say thanks for
course.
having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me join this.
Yeah.
And I love to come on again. And see,
Yeah.
Can't wait to meet you. This is our first meeting,
Yeah.
but it's not live, so.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
I actually have a suggestion. Maybe if Rory does come to these places, maybe we should actually Ouija there. Would that be a good idea or no?
Why not?
It could be
I think
fun.
it
Could be
could be
fun.
fun.
Yeah, sure.
Live stream Ouija sesh.
Don't follow me home.
That's exactly right.
Just
Don't follow me home.
right?
So, I just want to go back to that picture. Amber just sent it to me, and you can clearly see like a face.
Oh, I sent it at the same time. You just
At first, I
got
thought it was
it.
like looking up
It
somebody's
is weird.
nostrils,
Like,
and then it's like, oh no, wait, those
You
are
can
eye
see,
sockets.
Like the whole face present.
It could be.
Could be nostrils.
Right?
Anyway,
Yeah,
Sweet.
whatever.
Well, thank you so much for listening to episode 2 of the Don't Follow Me Home podcast. Again, I encourage you to email us at don'tfollowmehomepod@gmail.com. Thank you so much.